Alright, so I'm gonna talk about some of the stuff that in terms of like the interface of After Effects, because like I guess if you're the first time you're looking at it, it looks really complex. Yeah, it's actually really complex, but I'm gonna just make things easier. So when you start off, right, this is just, you can do new projects, open all projects, or do you have like recent projects that you have did. So I'm not gonna open this, but you can also create new composition. So a composition is kind of like I would say a layer, yeah, a layer. So I create comp 1. Okay, so this area over here is where all your projects go into. So you have multiple different kind of projects. If you import a file from somewhere else, for example, like if right now I were to drag a PNG of a clay pot inside here, then this is where it will go, right? So this is like, oh, okay. So this is familiar. This should be familiar for you if you use any kind of Photoshop or any kind of like video editing tool. This is where your assets will go, and then you can take this, or you could take it and you can drop it in here, which is the same thing, right? And then it will have a copy over here. Okay, so that's one. The other thing is you can take this composition and put an image inside. Right? I generally would do that if I'm trying to animate some complex illustrations. I might even break apart some of the illustrations so I can animate parts of it, or I might remove some of it. For like Gomo, I remove the tentacles, cause then I can do the path animation with tentacles. Don't know what I'm talking about? Go watch the video for some tree or something. So this is with assets. Okay, over here, this is kind of where you can loop your stuff, right? So I can drag this over here, and by press play, spacebar, it will just loop through here. Okay, so this is like if you're trying to do certain cuts. Okay, if I have more than one composition, like comp 2, I can take the first composition and drag it into a second composition. And one of the reasons you want to do that is so that you could have maybe multiple compositions. So I can drag it in again, and I can drag it in again. So the composition layer itself will stay unaffected. But if I go ahead, I can animate this in composition 2, then I can create something funky. Yeah. So yeah, you get what I mean. So it still allows me to do something basic here. It's kind of like symbols, right? It allows me to do something basic here, but being able to do the larger composition over here. And then you can take this one and you put it in another composition, and then you have like composition and a composition and a composition. So that one is up to you to like, okay, how do I want to organize it? Generally don't really have an idea of how you should organize it. I generally don't even have an idea how to organize shit, so you guys already know that. But that's that. Over here is all your window stuff. You can do effects and stuff, but a lot of these things don't actually work with body moving, because we are only using body moving for UI stuff. Extension wise, this is the one I use. If you have an animation inside Sketch that you want to import, my best advice for you is actually to export it as an image and bring it in, because like you don't need very complex stuff, so you just animate the parts that you want to show. If it's to do with interface interaction, like a button click, right, I will actually do it in InVision instead, because that's simpler. Like you can do those things in code, so you don't have to do them here. But animations that you're doing here is very hard to do in code. Yeah, if that makes sense. So give an example, right? Like if I wanted to do an animation, like even the uploader, right? So this uploader, I'm gonna remove away the green because it's just jarring. Yeah. Oh, that's why I added green, because it's white. Okay, I'm gonna change the green. Okay, cool. Okay, so you can change colors of your field. So for something like this, it's slightly more complicated. You can't just write it in code. You can't even do a SVG animation, which is like you Google it if you don't know what I mean. You can't even just do a SVG animation because there are certain moving parts to it. So you kind of have to do it here. And kind of what I did was you have like these series layers, and then you have the trim path stuff, and then you have all these different elements. So these are the kind of animations that okay, actually it's much easier if you just do it in After Effects, right? And so you can see over here, these are all the different projects that these are all the different trial that I have. And so I did like one part, like, oh okay, this part, and then I went to try it on, okay, I combine it with another one, so it gives this effect, right? And I sort of built upon the animations that I have. So, and you look and say, oh, this one is, yeah, it's terrible, don't use it. And eventually you get to a stage of like something like this, which is many layers add up to give you the impression of something more complex.